All right, the time in the studios of ZIZ Radio, just 22 minutes down after the hour of 9 o'clock. We are early today, if I say so in our terms. Okay, so we have the police officers in the studio. Yeah, another morning of policing with you, where we're going to have some chit-chats as to what's happening out there, some advice and some solutions, hopefully, and some updates. So I want to welcome you guys. Good morning. I'll take it over to you guys. You guys,
Wanna welcome and say good morning to all the listeners out there in Radioland, local, regional, international, all over the place, who are tuning into Policing with you today. There has been 3 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the Federation. Police officers are the main enforcers of the regulation, and we are stressing the importance of people adhering to the rules. This is why Superintendent Henry is back on this week's program, and we will be focusing on COVID-19 and specifically sporting events. Superintendent, welcome once again.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, we'll jump straight into the question and segment part where Superintendent Henry will enlighten us and give us some guidance. We have been trying to get people to adopt a particular way of doing things because of the pandemic, Superintendent. However, it is only when a new case is announced that we see more people pulling up their socks and doing what they have been asked to do. How practical is that approach?
Well, I'll put it this way. If you're on a boat and you're told to put on your life vest, and you don't put it on, and you fall over into the water, and then you begin to ask for your life vest, it's too late. It's too late at that point.
Too late.
And so it's not very practical. It's not the best thing to do to wait until something happens to try to put measures in place to prevent it. Mm-hmm. The reason why we were saying all along to practice these protocols is because we knew that the virus was going to come back. And so persons were asked to get into the habit of adjusting to these things that they were not accustomed to. So it would be even more difficult now if they were not practicing these protocols before and wait until there's a case today to start practicing tomorrow. It would be a bit more difficult for them, and they would more likely lapse, and then they could fall victim. Mm-hmm. So it's not too late because of the protocols that we have in place to protect the public. We still are in a reasonably good place, and so persons can still mend their ways and practice the protocols as we prescribe.
Beautiful. And on the last program here, last Thursday, you did indicate that the COVID-19 would be back. It's likely that we'll have cases.
Yes.
And now we have 3 confirmed cases. Now, many persons, by right, have full confidence in the COVID-19 task force. To date, they have helped to manage the situation locally quite well. So naturally, we have confidence in whatever system they have implemented to safeguard the general public, now that the borders have reopened. What would you say to the people listening out there in the audience who are still very laxed when it comes to following the safety protocols that have been put in place because they believe that through containment protocols and the current testing practices, the risk of someone with COVID-19 getting it among the general public is very low?
Well, the protocols that we have in place are meant to capture and contain those persons who are entering the country via the legal means.
Okay.
We cannot discount persons entering the country via unlawful means. And we have no control over those persons because we do not know when they're coming, we do not know where they're coming from, and we do not know where they'll be going once they enter the country. So we have little to no control unless, of course, we get information prior to them landing. We have little and no control. And we've had several incidences that confirms this suspicion of persons coming in illegally. Earlier in the year, we had 13 Haitians landing in in Keys area.
That's true.
And they end up in a home, a private home in Keys, and they were only discovered 3 days after they were here. Now, they presented a very big risk to the community. We've had another incident where a person who was traveling from St. Martin to Guadeloupe and developed engine problems on the way, pulled into Wally Beach in Nevis.
That's true.
And went to the restaurant to have dinner. And this was during the cultural time, so you know the restaurant was
Full of people.
full of people. So he went come from St. Martin, coming into the country, nobody know he's coming, no process, and gone straight to the restaurant. We've had another incident where 3 Venezuelans were intercepted in Palmetto Bay. That resulted in 9 of our security forces members be placed in quarantine because they came in contact in apprehending them. And so out of an abundance of caution, we had to quarantine our soldiers and police and Coast Guardsmen for 14 days. And then there were locals who were facilitating these persons. I think so, one of them is in prison right now. And so those are incidences where persons could have come in the country, or persons came in the country without us knowing their status, without going through any process. And we have quite recently where we intercepted a female who would have entered the country via unlawful means and is now in quarantine, having been found at a local bar. So we cannot say for sure that there are no cases of COVID in the country because we have these good protocols at the airport. Because those are not our problem. We are confident that persons who come through lawful means are coming in a controlled way, and they are less likely to pose a risk to the public. But we have to be concerned about those persons who are coming in via unlawful means, who pose great risks to the public.
Thank you very much. And that's the reality.
And that's the reality.
That's the reality we're facing in St. Kitts. Okay, so persons out there must not be laxed, and they must
become complacent and thinking that all is well because the task force is doing such a good job and everybody's in quarantine.
So thank you very much, Superintendent.
Everybody's not.
Okay. Thank you. And yesterday, at yesterday's briefing, you spoke about sporting events. I think this is a good forum for you to be, if you care to go over the advice you mentioned on the program.
Right, and I think the timing is right because we are now into the playoffs, the final 6 in playoffs at the Warner Park with the Premier League. And you know, these games usually attract a large crowd. You know, leading up to the playoffs, we had reasonable sized crowd, 400 and 500 persons who attending these games. I think last night game we had over 800 persons in the stadium. And so we know how crowds and COVID go. I mean, they do not go well together. That is a good breeding ground and a good way for the virus to spread. And so one of the protocols is social distancing, which means avoid social activities, avoid becoming involved in large crowds. But sometimes it's unavoidable. When it's unavoidable and you must find yourself in this, then there are other protocols to protect you. Wear your mask, sanitize your hands, and maintain the physical distance. So where you can observe the social distance by staying away from the game, then maintain your physical distance once you're in the game. And these are protocols that are enshrined in the legislation, that a person must maintain a 6 feet distance from the person next to him while in the stadium. He must wear a mask and he must sanitize himself. So upon entry, you sanitize at the gate, and there should be sanitization stations throughout the stadium. That is not the case, but you could walk with your own. That is more advisable. But for sure, you should have your mask, and if you have your hand sanitizer and you maintain your distance, then you would be safer. And that is what we want persons to be aware of and to follow. These simple protocols, because the crowd, if you're in a crowded place and there's someone in that crowd who is infected, then it is likely that infection could spread to you, and then you spread it to other people.
Highly likely, yeah. Yes. That's true.
Is there a cap on the crowd at Warner Park?
Well, the regulation prescribes that the capacity is based on the size. So once you maintain that distance of 30 square feet per person, then you just divide the size of the ground by 30. So I think a formula that we use, we just say half capacity. So if the stadium capacity is 2,000, then we only allow 1,000. So we, as a standard, we just use half of the stadium capacity.
So in other words, for the final games, everybody can just come and buy tickets and go in.
No, they have a cutoff. They could only sell half of the capacity of the stadium, and I think the football association has even gone below half, just to ensure that they don't have too much overcrowding or have any overcrowding at all. So they even sell below half of the capacity of the stadium. They are supplementing that by broadcasting the game virtually. So for a small fee, you could see the game from the comfort of your home and via a Facebook page.
How do you control exiting the games? You got 1,000 people who want to go home as soon as the game finishes.
And that is the difficult part. I'm not certain if it's possible because everybody is thinking about getting out.
Because
and
it defeats the purpose if you were social distancing
Right.
through the whole game, and when it's over now,
everybody
want to go to the gate.
Yeah, and that is why we are bringing this awareness. So persons are aware of these things, because sometimes people do these things subconsciously and they're not aware that they're doing it, even though they would have been practicing the physical distancing throughout the whole game. At the end of the game, they all go to the gate together, and so everything has gone through the window. So if you're aware of it, then you would avoid it, and that is why we are having these type of messaging. But wear your mask, and I like to keep my hands in my pocket. That way your hands don't become contaminated and you don't put it in your
all
face.
the time I thought was the amount of money you had in there.
No. I try to keep my hands up my face, so you keep it in your pocket.
Okay.
So that is something that you could adapt as a practice to help keep your hands from getting into your face. Even sometimes the mask, we wearing our mask, but then we use our hands to remove the mask. And when you hold the mask, if your hands are contaminated, then you pass it on to the mask. So it's important that you keep your hands clean to avoid contaminating yourself.
Okay. One question before we break for halftime.
We have a caller in case you want to
The caller is early.
entertain.
Well,
This is a frequent caller.
We'll take the call.
You'll take the call?
We'll take the
Okay,
call.
let's do that. ZIZ Radio.
Thank you, Randy, for representing me, a frequent caller.
A frequent,
This is
very
police
frequent.
we don't pay. And good morning, Mr. Henry and Mr. Francis.
Morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Now, I think this is what you call add up time. The answers are in the box. Yeah, we can't add up no more sums. I think we have done enough talking to who live here. It's since March we've been getting advice from the task force people them, and they're not talking Greek nor Russian. Now I am saying two things: uphold the law and enforce the law. And to those the AG, when you're going to Parliament, go in there with this bill from me, police without pay. On the table, $10,000 for anybody smuggling in our yard. Once you smuggle in, it is illegal. And $10,000 penalty for who bring them here. And to the immigration them, me and them a friend. As Calypso King Rock said, when you go check them out. Wax up your face, don't change your wax on your face. But not because your face wax, you're going to brutalize them. Don't laugh with them. Our country is small, and we have to protect it. We can't take no more knockout. We cannot. So every man, Tut Munsa Mambagay, is police, watchman, guard, security, and soldiers. This is our country. If we don't guard it, it will go away, and all of us will dead. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
We want to thank that caller for his appeal to the general public to adhere to what is going on and the regulations. Superintendent, just a follow-up question with reference to the sporting activities. What is the responsibility of the organizations of these sporting activities in ensuring that people follow the guidelines and the protocol rules?
Well, they first they have to set the rules for the venue. it starts with the ticketing. They must have the pace markers at the ticketing point so that persons would see where they should stand. It's sort of rather than leaving it up to people's judgment. Have the lines, they have the markers on the pavement so that people see that they should stand here, and they should have someone there to enforce that. Then at the gate, they must have persons there with hand sanitizers. They must have someone to log their names. They must have all the systems in place to comply with the protocols. And then they should have staffing to remind persons to observe the protocols. Even the announcer regularly during the matches, the announcement should be made reminding persons of what they are required to do, and have persons around to enforce, to ensure that people do what they are to do. We've started that process for these final games. We've changed our plans, security plans for the game, and we've seen a bit of improvement. We have they ensure that persons sit in the bleachers rather than bungling at the back of the bleachers. Everybody has to go down into the bleachers and leave the area to the back of the bleachers free, and maintain distances while you're in the bleachers, and line up observing the 6 feet when you're buying your ticket. So we have those protocols in place, and hopefully that persons would continue to comply throughout the rest of the matches. One of the difficulty we are having though is still getting people to keep the mask on. They have it over the face, but it's under the chin.
And when they get all excited, yeah!
Right, and you're shouting, and the person next to you 3 feet away.
It's a tough one.
Everybody mask under the chin. That is not considered wearing your mask.
And according to what type of mask some people are wearing, you could hardly breathe through some of them.
So then you get a good mask.
It's kind of great. Henry, one of the things I've been hearing lately, and matter of fact, there was a slight conversation this morning about that, is people are not sure if some of those hand sanitizers are real hand sanitizers. Wherever you go these days, especially in supermarkets, that is being called out. You got some with foul odors, some with soapy feelings, and all kind of different. And sometimes it's tough when you're shopping. You go here, you get one thing, you go there, a next thing. By the end of the day, your hand turn blue. And so, you have anybody who goes around the task force or the compliance crew?
The compliance team, they check the business.
They go around and make sure that they're using the right things.
To make sure that they're complying.
Because people can cut corners.
Right, because we had one report where a person reported that a particular supermarket was using water.
I remember hearing about that.
I heard that too.
The police actually went and confirmed it. It was actually hand sanitizing your hands with water.
That's ridiculous.
So we know that there are people who are going to take shortcuts.
This ain't a time for shortcuts.
We can't afford that. So the public would have to be vigilant.
Are they aware that this very same person who coming in, bringing it into them too? Because that's the problem. You got to think about yourself first, and then because. If you're doing that and it's not real, and they come in, touch your things up, give you the money, all of that, then you become infected. And
then you have to close down.
Yeah. So
try to save
there's no place for shortcuts.
Right.
Okay. You're going to take a break and then we come back? Okay,
we have a lot more questions and the phone lines.
And the phone lines are going, yes. So, all right. So we bring National Bank, our sponsor.
It's the opener.
Wellness Week is an opportunity for us to bring awareness to the impact of non-communicable diseases within our federation. Our Soca Size event here this evening is actually focusing on one of those risk factors, which is lack of physical activity. So increasing your physical activity will carry you one step closer to reducing your impact of getting a non-communicable disease such as diabetes, heart disease, or cancer.
All right, so we are back in with the officers here, taking questions in a while. So all you guys who have been on the phone line, oh boy, our switchboard is well lit. You have lots of questions, Francis.
I have a question for the superintendent. However, once the phone lines are coming in,
the phone lines are coming in. So let's jump right in and give the folks out there. They may have better questions than you.
It's all for them.
That's right. ZIZ Radio. Hello. Good morning. Okay, we missed that one. ZIZ.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a complaint or a thing to say. Let me ask you a question, okay? With that, most of the bus drivers do not wear masks, right? So when you go in the bus and you ask them, wear your mask, they're going to say, thank you, don't have any corona. But they're telling you that if you don't want to ride with me, give me back your money. So I asked one of the bus drivers for my money, and he told me I can't get my money back because think it doesn't have any corona and the mask is not comfortable for you to breathe in.
Wow.
Well, just last Friday, we doing one of our routine operations, we had to make 25 persons actually come off the bus. Just they don't.
And everybody in the bus comes in there and they don't have on the mask.
Yeah,
and that's the thing about it. And the bus drivers, them is not doing anything about it.
Well, we are stepping up our enforcement, and this will be the practice going forward. Once you don't have a mask, until we get the tickets, we're going to just make you come off the bus.
Okay, thanks.
Right.
Okay. We got another caller. ZIZ.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I have about three questions for the officers.
Sure, no problem. Go ahead.
Pertaining the person that came in, I think was illegal on the 8th. I would like to know what become of that case, because I think I hear you all say that they had arrested a local along with the person that came in illegal. Is it the local? Is the national?
Yeah, he's a national.
Spanish?
He wasn't arrested. He was just placed in quarantine just as a precaution because he was in the company of this person whose status we do not know.
But
so he was placed in quarantine as a precaution.
Is it a local?
Yes, he's a local. It's a local.
Hear what you say that they tried to ask a few questions and there was not much cooperation. Is it that was the case?
Ask questions from him?
Yeah, like to see if anybody else came in.
We don't think that he's involved. We don't think that he knows what's going on. He just happened to be at the bar and met the person at the bar. So,
but if the person came in on the Sunday and on the Wednesday that you probably found them and you're not getting any much cooperation from the bar, you cannot seize the bar operation for time being just to get much more information about that person?
Well, the matter is still under investigation. That person is still in quarantine.
Because
we are doing interviews, and so we will take whatever action is necessary.
I think that's a step you guys can make. And about the mask, you guys have to get serious. Even though you don't have the tickets as yet, something has to be in place. Even ask the parliament to do something until you all get the tickets.
Well, we are doing what we could do. I mean, last night at the game, we asked a few persons to leave the stadium, not for not wearing the mask. We put them out the stadium, and they were very happy at all.
Okay.
Because they would have paid the money, come to enjoy the game, and before the game reached halfway, they were put out. And so these are some actions that we have been taking. The persons on the bus, after they pay the busman the money and the bus halfway, they have to come off the bus. They have to get a next bus or find some other means of getting to town. So there is some inconvenience for not complying. And so we want persons to avoid these type of inconveniences by simply wearing your mask.
Yeah.
It's a tough call, but, you are doing a good job still, so keep pressing on still.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
ZIZ Radio. ZIZ.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, I would like to ask the police officer where's the fish die from, because I went by the courthouse. I see all the police officers them there, which them public with no mask. Police in the police vehicle with no mask. Go down to Sandy Point Primary School. Head teachers, nobody down here with no mask, not in the guard. Yes, so where the law goes? Where the law goes to? For some, for all, or for in between? That is what I would like to know.
Well, the law is for everybody, but it is to protect all of us. And so
yes, but the police them not doing it.
Right.
Nobody can arrest the police them because there's the law that says.
But please to ensure that you do it, because you are protecting yourself.
That's right. I would like you all to put the protocol to the police officers also, so that everybody would be safe.
I agree with you, and whenever we meet these instances, we deal with them. But please do not use the fact that the police is not wearing these masks for you not to wear yours. Because
So what?
you don't want to become sick because the police got sick.
Right. So what is the thing for the civilian for them to show? What is the example for them to show?
Well, if you
Would
see
you
that-
all go on and speak to them? Will you all let them know that people outside looking at them or whatever?
When you see that, you call the police station, speak to someone senior, and report the officer who you see working without wearing his mask.
Okay, beautiful, sir. Thank you much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
ZIZ Radio, good morning.
Good morning, Magic Fingers and the officer there.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. In the first place, with the lockdown and when we had the first lockdown, what about those people who was arrested, who broke the curfew and some were fighting and whatnot? What become of those cases?
Well, those matters are still before the court. We have no control over them once they would have gone to the court, and so we are still
Because if people find a weak point in the force, you know, they're not doing better, you know.
I agree.
Because if they find out I'm more talking about action, you know how we go. All right, all the best to you, sir.
I agree.
The risk in that is that they might find themselves becoming sick. And then that is the ultimate consequence.
We got another caller. ZIZ, hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Can you
morning.
speak up a little louder, please?
Hello, good morning.
Okay,
Good
great.
morning, ma'am.
My concern is that I always travel on bus, and sometimes be the only person that's on that. So I do think you guys need to set them more on that, and I am a soldier.
Well, you could assist us in enforcing, you know, when you see that happen, let the busman stop, call the police. Don't let the bus continue its journey.
Okay. Because it is bad. And some of them just off. And something like I just say, excuse me, please. For your safety, you're supposed to wear your mask. When I get ticket, I can abuse and go on.
That is true.
Yes,
They still?
the same people are going to say, where poor people don't get money from to pay $100.
You understand?
Okay, we got another caller. ZIZ Radio.
Yes, I'm here. Officer, I'm here again. No.
Yes, sir.
If two passengers arguing in a bus, and the bus in bad order and all kind of thing, it is the responsibility of the driver to tell them, stop it,
Yes.
or go out. Right, don't let people come in the bus ain't got on a mask, because you ain't got on none. He's supposed to set the example, and make sure that all who enters he do have on a mask. Otherwise, don't come in.
Correct.
No mask, no come in, no service. And he got a lot of man around town. I not 2 lawyers in town. Take me and other people money and they ain't do no work. And can't get back the money from them. So if somebody pay a bus driver to carry them to their destination and something wrong in the bus and the person say, you know what, let me get out here. They're supposed to give back the person their money.
Yes.
Because the person ain't reach to the destination where they pay you to carry them.
Correct.
So I would like the law to look into those things. You all can be here, there, and everywhere, but be what you call constant on the law. Thank you for listening again.
Thank you, sir.
All right. ZIZ Radio, good morning. Police in with you.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning, ma'am.
I'm just thinking there used to be a saying, you make law and you break the law. So maybe the police them have the right to break the law. I don't know. Bye.
No, not at all. No one has a right to break the law. We don't even make it.
Well, you know they would have come back at you with that for sure. But you made a good point. I mean, don't get sick because you say the police officer ain't wearing his mask. Call his superior and let that happen, you know?
We want to remind the general public that all of us are in this fight with regards to COVID-19. The individuals would speak and say the police need to do more, and the police need to do this, and the police need to do that. Yes, the police are trying their best, and other law enforcement agencies are trying their best. But you too have to do something, and you too have to, have an input. In saying it, some of us, we sit by and just blame. You understand? So we need to, when you jump in a bus, if the bus driver see that 2-3 passengers jump in, asking about masks, and he is not ensuring other people wearing the mask, and they call the police, then is when all the bus drivers realize what the society realize that we need to have on our masks. So everybody need to have an input and not just sit by and say, officer, you ain't doing your work. This is COVID-19. This is not just a little offense here or a serious offense there. This is all of us are involved in this fight against COVID-19.
Public health is at stake.
Exactly.
Yeah. Henry, with the borders open, how you guys deal with yachts and stuff? Is yachts allowed to?
Yeah, we have protocols in place for yacht. Of course, when they enter the country, they must go through. They must complete the entry form as well. There is a.
Oh, if a yacht come in here, they have to go through.
The same entry form. There is a sea.
If a guy on sea for a couple of days.
Well, he do the form before he leave where he's coming from. He know where he's going. So if he's leaving from Europe, he know that he's going to end up in St. Kitts, and so he must.
Suppose he just drive right in, like the old days.
He'll drive it into custody.
You have to get that permission to enter.
But in that case, you could have him stay on board and then,
like I say, once
tell him what it is and he got to leave, basically.
Once they're allowed to enter, then there are protocols in place to ensure that they are quarantined also. So everyone who comes into the country through legal means, they have to go into quarantine. So even those persons on a yacht, they would have to take the yacht to a specified area and quarantine on the yacht for the period.
Okay. Yes. All right. Just checking, making sure.
Yes, we have that covered as well.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, any calls? No?
Not at the moment.
Okay, Superintendent, this is the busiest shopping season of the year. There are lots of concerns about crowds, especially the upcoming 2 VAT days. What can you say to the general public?
Black Friday tomorrow, eh?
And Black Friday tomorrow, indeed. So what can you say to the general public about how to go about their shopping during this period?
Well, we advise that you start your shopping now.
Start your shopping now?
Start your shopping now so that you don't have as much shopping to do when we reach the heart of the season. But we know most persons are going to wait until the VAT days, the VAT reduced days to do the bulk of the shopping because they benefit from cost reduction. What we ask persons to be reminded of is that the protocols still remain the same, that only certain number of persons are allowed in the premises based on the size of the premises. So the capacity is always dependent on the size. The larger the space, the floor space, the more persons can enter. If you have a small floor space, then not as much persons will be allowed to enter. And so there will be a need for lines because that store would have to be managed. The owners would have to control the number of persons because the compliance teams will be very active on those 2 days. And any business that are violating the protocols by overcrowding their premises, they just run the risk of being asked to close and cease operation because we cannot put the public at risk in order for some business to make some money. So public health always takes precedent. And so if businesses are not complying with the protocols by ensuring that their customers line up for entry in a manner that is permitted by law and have the capacity that is allowed by law, then they might be asked to cease operation.
Thank you.
We got some callers, so let's hear what they have. ZIZ, good morning. Policing with you. Hello.
Assuming that one is gone.
ZIZ, good morning.
Okay, that one is gone as well. Okay.
That's strange. Hold on. ZIZ, good morning.
Okay, until when I get that.
All right, you can call back, guys. I think somebody might be calling back at the moment. ZIZ, good morning.
Pleasant good morning, my friend. How are you
Okay,
doing?
you're up.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, my friend. My concern about the buses that run. I think that we could
Big concern.
They could really have a conductor on the buses, and that could really actually before the people come in the van, they have someone spraying their hand and make sure they got on the mask. That is something will be good for the traveling public. That's my thought.
Yes.
And very good point, Carla.
Next caller. ZIZ.
Yes, good morning. Officers, good morning. Is driving without your license a ticketable or an arrestable offense, or both? Thank you.
Good question.
Well, the officer has the options. if he cannot ascertain that you have a license at all, then of course he has the right to detain you until he could determine whether or not you have a license. So if if he asks you for your license and you do not have it to present, then he cannot allow you to continue driving unless he has some way of satisfying himself that you do in fact have a license. Because we've had situations where officers have done that erroneously. A person do not have the license and the officer allowed them to continue, only to find out later that the person do not have a license at all. And so
they might have lied to the police.
And they might have lied to the police
license,
forget it home, right.
Only
And
to
then
find
when the
out
officer get back to the station and check the records, the person actually do not have a license. But the officer would have
From what we gathered, that is now in law. You're supposed to have. Because we tackled this yesterday with Donnelly.
Okay, right.
So,
it is now law. It used to be that you had 48 hours. But for that very reason, you give a person 48 hours and you find out that he doesn't have a license.
Then you have to track him down.
You have to go and track him down. So in order to prevent that, you present it right away. If you cannot present it, then the police take you in custody until you go. You can ascertain whether or not you have a license.
Okay. We got another caller. ZIZ Radio, good morning. Hello? Hello? It's that same lady. ZIZ Radio, good morning.
Hello?
Yes?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Question. Pilots, if they're overnight, do they have to quarantine? That's one. And you mentioned about those people that come on the yacht. Who monitor them? Because you said that they self-quarantine? So that you said?
Yeah, they have to
So who monitor them when they're on sea? I listen up here.
Okay. Right. Good question. Pilots, when pilots come to the country, they have to quarantine. So once they leave the airport, they have to be taken to a hotel under the same protocols that all entering nationals, all entering passengers would have to follow. So they're taken to the hotel and then they're taken back to the airport the following day. They're not allowed to go anywhere. So they are in quarantine once they're on island. In terms of the yacht, once the yacht enters the country and gone through all the processes, they will be assigned to a designated area. We have a designated area for yachts to moor, and that area would have private security that the persons would pay for to monitor the yachts. And so they go into this specified area. They are monitored with assistance of the Coast Guard, of course, and for their 14 days.
I think I know why she used the idea of the pilot, because she think that the pilot is going to fly out next day. Yes. Now, it's best for you to let them know that you only quarantine until you leave the country.
Right, yes.
So if it's an hour, you quarantine for the hour until you leave.
Right.
So it's not 14 days. He got to. I think that's why she was questioning about the pilot.
I'm glad that you raised that, Raleigh. so if you come for the island for 2 days, you quarantine for 2 days.
Quarantine for 2 days, and you got.
Once you're here for less than 14 days,
yes,
you'll be quarantined for the period of your stay.
Yes.
If it is more than 14 days, then you're only
quarantined
for 14 days.
Okay. Good question.
You can't count it for 14 days. And if it's scheduled for next day.
That's right.
Because that he wouldn't be able to mingle.
He would not be able to go to the hotel, restaurant, and have dinner. I see the
which is what they usually do anyhow. Sleep over till morning. They ain't got nowhere to go. They have to get that rest. So.
They bring the food to your room and
yes.
eat there.
Okay. I heard some new things there that was there was checking up on contrabands being taken to the quarantine sites.
Well, yeah, because
this is deep. I mean, who does that?
I'm surprised.
Wow.
We have to have a certain environment. We can't allow persons to.
Of course not. I mean, who thinks of that? You're in quarantine. You know.
Well, they're in quarantine and they want to keep their bad habits up.
Yeah, they want to live as if they're on vacations.
That's just it.
Nah.
Keep the same habits.
What would you? I mean, what that should be a strong penalty for the person taking it there.
Well,
because I noticed you just take it to a security who is not an officer.
But they have powers. Remember, they are appointed based on the legislation. They're appointed on the legislation.
To make an arrest, if somebody comes there with a bag of herb or something, and
they will seize it and then call the police.
Oh, okay.
But
what about the person? By the time they seize it, the person gone.
We could find you. Unless you run off the island.
Oh, okay.
Which would not be very easy.
Sounds good.
We'll find you.
Yeah, we have
just trying to make sure the deterrent is there.
Yes. We'll definitely. All of these areas have surveillance cameras, so we have a good capture of whatever happens.
Because I did take some razors there for a friend of mine who was quarantined, and I remember just handing it to the guy, and he just took it and the name and left.
I guess he trusts everybody in the room. Man, the rascal not going to bring anything. Man, the rascal is upstairs.
Yeah, big name is
And it wouldn't look good in blue.
You know, that's a reputation.
Yes. But yeah, okay. So, I mean, I was just amazed to hear that people were doing crazy things like that, you know. So we got our next caller. Let's see what's happening here. And ZIZ, good morning.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. How are you doing?
You're our last caller. You're lucky. Come on. Give us a good question.
Just a quick question. I was wondering if the officers could maybe give a little explanation as to when you take the person who don't have the driver's license in custody, how could he prove to you that he has a driver's license when he can't get to his place to maybe get his driver's license? He's in custody, so he can't get his driver's license. So maybe they could explain that, please.
Well, we'll check our records.
Yeah, simple. Yeah.
So he doesn't have to bring it.
Yeah.
We'll check our records.
We have records with Inland Revenue, which which
So
have a list of everybody who has a
Exactly.
driver's license.
We have an electronic database, so
Yes.
we'll just check our records.
Plus all the he in custody that don't mean they can't carry him home. You know?
We don't have to go to that.
No problem. I just thought that you said that he had to show it rather than you have to investigate it. That's what I heard.
Oh, sorry. Well, we would investigate because we have to satisfy ourselves that he has one. Since he cannot show us, then we have to use other means to determine if he has one.
Okay.
And unless the officer could do it on the spot.
Okay, but you don't have an option where you can maybe drag him to his house and he can say, hey, I forgot my wallet home or something.
No, we would not want to take that chance.
Because at this moment, it's law that you're supposed to have it.
Yeah, we won't take that chance.
He's supposed to have it with him.
He's supposed to have it with him.
Yeah, by law, yeah. But most officers don't want to make an arrest. They'll ticket. He just ticket you.
Well, if
You
the
know.
officer knows for certain that you have one, they could verify that you have one, then they will just ticket you.
Okay.
For not being able to present it.
But if you look
But
a little
if-
shady.
If you don't know if you have one, but I never see you. I don't know.
Yeah, I never seen you driving
never seen you
before. I
drive
mean,
before.
yeah.
You have to satisfy yourself that he does
Okay.
in fact have a license.
Guys, we're gonna wrap it up for today.
That
So
was last call. So
yeah.
I have one last question, a two-part question for the superintendent, and then he can wrap up afterwards. What is the role of the security agency during this period? And just to be clear, will there be any street activities this year? What is the role of the security officers during this period? COVID-19, the 2 VAT days and stuff like that. And during the Christmas season, will there be any street activities?
Well, that one I will answer that last question. First, the Minister of Carnival and the Carnival Chair has announced that this year's Carnival would be a virtual one.
Virtual.
And so all the activities that attract crowds, they would be curtailed this year. So you will not have the activities on the street to bring out people.
No
Those
Juve, no last lap.
No Juve, no last lap. No extreme.
No Juve, Wani. No Juve.
No extreme, no Red Devils, none of that this year. So unless it's going to be a virtual thing, so no street activities this year. We could just expect to have a virtual activity. Whatever activity the Carnival Committee has organized, they will be virtual. Most of them would be virtual, and I think the Carnival calendar is out. It's already been published, and I'm not seeing any effects or any those events on it. So we know that those are curtailed for this year, for good reasons. The role of the security officers, like anything else, to protect public health, to ensure that people's public safety, to ensure that persons could enjoy themselves in an environment that is conducive for such, to prevent persons from violating the various pieces of laws. We have laws against a number of things, laws against traffic violations, the COVID protocols. And so whatever security personnel are in place, they are there to enforce these particular regulations, to ensure that persons do what they are to do. And of course, it's all in the interest of public safety and public order.
Okay, any closing comments, Superintendent?
We want to remind persons, as usual, to wear your masks, avoid social gatherings, where there are large crowds, and maintain your physical distance and sanitize once you're out.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to thank Ronnie Rascal, thank management and staff of ZAZ. Thanks to callers for calling in. I heard a few strange voices, but I know a lot of persons listen to this program. I want to thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for calling in. From me, Inspector Francis, I want to wish you Merry Christmas when you come, season greetings. I want to let persons know that Policing With You is here to stay, and fight against COVID-19 is a fight for everybody, not just law enforcement, but everybody have to put in their part and fight this thing. Thank you very much, Ronnie Vasco.
Thank you.
That's it for me.
Thank you guys for coming in as usual. Great show and good information going over for the public. So I hope they're taking heed of that. And of course, if you guys seen people breaking the laws, you join in somehow and call somebody. Make awareness that you are seeing these things happening. It's all about us, man. We're in it together. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot.
What you think about justice? What you know about love?